Any memorable piece of advice that you remember that from the mayor?
You know, the thing that I remember most that Mayor Tom Henry had shared with me at one time was just make sure we're having fun. We go through so many things as politicians and people expect so much from us, but the journey is not worth it if you are not having a good time and if you're not making a positive impact on people's lives. So I think his laughter, his smile, and the moments where we were able to catch those times together, that's what I would remember, is just making sure that we have fun.
A piece of advice that I got from the mayor didn't come directly from him. I was at a gala dinner with John Court one time, and the event was getting ready to start, and I go take my seat next to John. And John looks at me, he's like, "Austin, why are you sitting down already?" And he's like, "Watch this." And literally as the guy was getting ready to take the podium to start the event, here comes Mayor Henry strolling in, and everybody in the room just looks at him. I mean, he's brought power to the room, and that's one piece of advice that I indirectly got from him, is just to control the room.
So I was elected in 2006. The mayor was elected in 2007. Basically, our terms overlapped, mine in the legislature, of course, and Mayor Henry's. And throughout those years, we collaborated on a number of issues to help the city of Fort Wayne. And I would often seek out his advice. I recognize that he had several years of experience prior to becoming mayor on the city council, his work experience, and of course his all kinds of background and things that he would bring. And I would ask him during those difficult days in the legislature when we're trying to get things done about what did he think I maybe needed to do. And so he would offer me these words of encouragement with regards to perseverance, keep going, don't let folks get you down, collaboration, making sure that you're reaching out to the other side of the aisle. You need to do that. You need to build those relationships. And I've used those things that he would use for me and help me along my whole career in the legislature. And it's proved extremely beneficial to me and hopefully to him as well in the city of Fort Wayne.
I'm going to pivot on this one. I'm going to turn this around. I remember, I believe it was 1995, city election. I was county chair, and we were having a rally, and we were getting everybody fired up. And I was trying to get them fired up, you know, like a Newt Rockne type speech, fight, fight, fight. The candidates were speaking one by one. Tom Henry got up and said basically he was doing okay. He wasn't worried about the election. He thought everything was solid. He's been walking door to door. He knew that everything was great. Now, I just spent an hour before then trying to get everybody riled up about the fact that it's going to be close. It's going to be very, very tight, and we need like crazy to get out there and work. And then Tom gets up and basically says the opposite. Funny thing is, he was standing there when I was doing all of that, so he kind of knew where I wanted to go with this, but that's not where he wanted to go, and he was his own man, and so he decided to go that route. I did talk to him afterwards, and I gave him what I perceived to be a friendly bit of advice, and that was namely that maybe he needs to think about, when he's talking to people, about how close it's going to be. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this or not. Tom Henry lost by 2 votes that election, and we needed to do a recount. We got him in for city council, but it took a recount and endless hours of time. So that's my pivot on the advice that maybe Mayor Henry gave me at some time.
You know, the mayor oftentimes would give some of the best advice over the last decade that I had the opportunity to run with him. The last thing he said to me was this. It was a beautiful speech that he had given for Miss Indiana, Miss Fort Wayne. And he said to me, "Michelle, it is our responsibility to open the doors for people who cannot open them for themselves." That was just truly reflective of who Mayor Tom Henry was, a true public servant.
I think one of my favorite memories with both Tom and Cindy, we were at National Convention for the Democratic Party in 2012. in Charlotte. Went to a really nice restaurant where we were being entertained that evening, and open up the wine list, and I'm looking, and the mayor and Cindy were having a conversation, and I'm looking over the wines and taking a look at some stuff, and I freeze. And I see it, and I think to myself, I hope to God he doesn't see this, because we'll never hear the end of it. And sure enough, I look over at him, and he's looking at the same wine list I am, and I saw the twinkle in that eye of his. And he came across that same wine selection that I did that said Tom Henry. And so not only for the next evening did he become the biggest advocate for Tom Henry wine, the next day he continued to tell everybody about it. He continued to ask at every single restaurant we went to there in the Charlotte area while we were there at convention, and asked if they too carried the Tom Henry wine, and asked them why they didn't, if they didn't have that as a wine selection. So just that entire week, hearing him talk about the Tom Henry wine and how amazing it was, truth be told, it was average.
One of my favorite memories that I have of Mayor Tom Henry, many people don't know this, but we had a strategizing meeting at his house on how we would be able to help move the party forward. We all got around the table, we were all thinking deep, and Tom just out of the blue made a funny joke. I can't even remember what it was, but at that moment is when I remember going, okay, Mayor Henry is normal. Mayor Henry is human, because I'd only been used to seeing him as Mayor Henry. And I think that's the moment that I realized that he really did care for the community, and how he would leave a legacy for the community and the changes that he had going on at that time. And so strategizing and being at the table in his personal space is one of the memories that I'll remember always.
I think the favorite memory, one that I will always remember of Mayor Henry, is the time that we went down to Indy for Gold Circle, where I had to drive him. And it was just the perfect opportunity to get to know him on a personal basis, find out about his time in the Army, being a courier, and really kind of getting to know much more about him on a personal level, and how he met Cindy and how that all started. And then, of course, we had to stop in Gas City at Payne's on the way back to get food for Cindy, because that was their thing, and it was something that we just did, and I will always remember that time with him, those 4 hours.
I think my favorite memory is my last meeting with Tom Henry. We were good friends. We knew each other for years, and we worked together on so many things. And the last time I talked with him, which was just less than 48 hours before he left us, he looked so good. He felt good. He was so optimistic about the future of Fort Wayne and all of the good things that we were doing together. You know, Mayor Henry, I think, will be known for a number of things, but of course, reinvigorating neighborhoods, really taking a step forward with riverfront development, and doing so much to improve our downtown. It's why we are the city that we are, and the fastest growing city in the Midwest. And that is so much due to the leadership of my good friend Tom Henry.
Besides walking and knocking on doors with the mayor, I really enjoyed my monthly meetings with the mayor. We would take that time to catch up. I would share with him what I was doing on city council. He would always keep me abreast of what was happening in the city. And we were always very intentional about thinking about things that we could work together on. So I really love that partnership that we had together, being legislators and just trying to do the best for the city.
My best friend in the entire world was Cindy Henry. Was my best friend, and I'll never have a friend like her again. We would spend a lot of time together. We'd try to go out to dinner maybe once a week, and Tom would join us a lot of times. And it was just nice having him away from the mayor's office and being able to talk to him about things, about what was going on and everything else. I have to tell you that nearly to the time of Tom's death, I was amazed at something that would happen. We would be out to dinner, and he would be approached by all sorts of people. Mayor, hey, it's good to see you, and talking. He'd stand up, he'd shake their hands, and he would greet them in the most genuine way humanly possible. Now, that usually works for a candidate for a couple of years, maybe into their second term. after all of his terms, he was still doing that. I was absolutely amazed because I would not have had the fortitude, I would not have had the patience to be able to do that. So that is a memory that I have of him, not so much as mayor, but as on a personal basis.
If the mayor was still here, I had the opportunity to talk to him one more time. A couple of things I would share with him. First and foremost, I'd ask him to give Cindy one last hug for me. I can still hear the echoes and the reverberations of her laughter in my heart. Second, I'd let him know that the city and his staff are in great hands with Mayor Tucker. And third, I would thank him for the amazing job he did as an elected official, for decades as a city council member, decades as mayor. His thumbprint, his fingerprints, the imprint of his heart will be on this city for decades and generations to come. And then finally, I'd want him to know that mustaches are making a comeback.
If he was still here, I'd simply just ask him to get another beer. Those are times that I'll always remember, is just being able to have a drink with him because he was such a down-to-earth person. Being able to have one last beer with him would be great.
If I were to have one more conversation with Mayor Henry, I would say, what are we doing to get a grocery store Southeast Fort Wayne? He and I often talked about the needs of Southeast Fort Wayne. I'm glad he was a great partner for me to, as councilwoman, for me to be able to start the ball rolling for some of the changes that you see currently after taking over for Councilman Glenn Hines. So that would probably be the one thing that I would ask the mayor about, which I know it drove him crazy, but it was the thing that we kept hearing over and over again. When will we get a sit-down restaurant Southeast Fort Wayne?
I would say to Mayor, I miss our monthly get-togethers. I know it was business, but I really miss seeing you at all the events. I miss your compassion. I miss your creativeness in running the city. But mostly importantly, I just miss you, Mayor Tom Henry. You were just an amazing human being, and your legacy still lives on. Thank you for all of those years that you served our great city.
Well, I would thank him for his many years of friendship. Tom and Cindy Henry were good friends. I knew them many years ago when we were starting out in politics. And they served so selflessly for so many people in so many capacities, both Tom and Cindy Henry, that I wish I could just say one more goodbye and one more thank you for all that you've done for the city of Fort Wayne and all that you did for me personally as a friend.
I would tell Mayor Henry, if he were here right now, thank you for all you've done for this city. With what you did, it made it so I was willing and wanting to move home because of the work that you did in revitalizing this city. But more importantly, I would always love to have another time to have with him and Cindy and just hear their laugh and just have some of that time.
If Tom was still here, I would tell him again the things that I had told him before, and that's about Cindy, my dear friend Cindy, and how lucky he was to have her as his wife and as confidant and as a political advisor. I don't know if he always was aware of that. Most of the time he was. There would be times when maybe he didn't take her advice or whatever, and maybe there was good reason for that. But I would tell him how much I appreciated having both he, but especially Cindy in my life.